Hello, my name is Derek Cook and I'm from Cresco International, and today in this video demonstration we're going to be covering our solution that can handle the workforce scheduling problem, specifically when it comes to nurse scheduling in the healthcare industry. So what we're looking to do here is enhance your current scheduling software with the use of advanced analytics and optimization. So with our user-friendly interface, you can have all of your work and decisions become an input that will then reflect the optimization engine in the back end without you having to deal with any technical hassle. In terms of business value and the outcome, we're looking to prevent the overlap of resources to supercharge your existing workforce scheduling tools or applications. So with the Home tab here, we want to assume that I am the nurse scheduling planner for departments of a hospital. With each department, it's going to have its own demand of nurses according to the shift they work, their skill sets, the requirements, and constraints that we put into the interface here. Based on the case scenario we just gave ourselves, we're able to take a look at our Home tab here. And this Home tab is going to show us our KPIs reflecting in cost, allocation of shifts, hours, and the number of COVID-19 patients coming in. So with our Managed Scenarios data player, we can click on this and update everything in real time to see that we are having an increase of COVID-19 patients for each scenario that we go to. This is going to, again, increase our cost, hours, and the number of shifts we need to allocate for these nurses. Now that we're in the position to make these nurse schedules with the nurses we do have on the floor, what we need to take in consideration is which tabs we're going to be using to make an input to feed into our optimization engine to give us an optimal output. Now, as I continue to move on to the Nurses tab, this is going to give us an overview of exactly who the nurses are on the field, their seniority, qualification, and their pay rate. Now that we have a grasp of our nurses and their seniority and qualification level, we need to understand the skill sets behind these nurses. So as I move on to the Skills tab, this is going to be showing us exactly which nurses can perform which type of work in the subfield inside of this hospital. On top of understanding all of our nurses' skill sets that we've acquired, we can also take a look at the availability that all of our nurses have throughout the week. This is going to play an important piece as we feed this into our optimization engine to allow us to properly allocate these nurses based on when they can work. Now, as we move into our Constraints tab, this is where we're going to have our key inputs to use based on everything we've worked on previously. Here we can set the maximum amount of hours to allocate for these nurses based on the scenario and who we have able to work. We can also look at which nurses cannot work in a particular unit. We also set an input as our working relationship preferences. We can see our compatible resources and incompatible resources. This aligns with our skills and disciplines that are required for these nurses to work in a certain subfield based on the Department of Emergency and Consultation. What we've also done is we can take into account many variables outside what is given to us. This can be along the lines of stress variables of the nurses. This can be due to the influx of patients and appointments based on the COVID-19 cases coming in and the increase of those. We're also looking at financial variables to help align with our budgets and expenses to reflect on our final schedule to make sure everything is flowing properly. We can also look at integrations with other EHRs and other software that can be used within the healthcare organization. As the nurse scheduling planner, using our variables to change within our interface, how are we able to know about the variables and constraints outside of what we are given? With our optimizer, these outside variables and constraints are already pre-configured into the backend, and this is going to run as we make our main changes on the interface with our Constraints tab. Moving into our Forced Assignments tab, this is where we can view all of our nurses and where they're going to be assigned for each of the departments based on their day, start, and end time. If we're looking to require a certain nurse to fill in for this time slot, we can make a simple input to make sure that Anne will be working for that required time in the emergency department for Friday. This is going to be one of the last important components we use to change before we optimize our final schedule. With every adjustment that we've just made in our previous tabs, we can now move into the optimize phase. This is where we can optimize our schedule based on scenario, and as we can see with our graphical representation, we have a threshold of 60 hours that we've set in our constraints, and it's going slightly over. With this, we're also looking to reduce our total resource cost. Now that our optimization has executed successfully, we can see the reflected changes in our final schedule. Looking at the trend indicators listed for each of the nurses, we can see the exact shift they've been allocated to, their start and end time, which department they'll be working in, whether it's consultation or emergency, and of course the day they will be working. With the solution components demonstrated, we've covered real-time adjustments and what-if analysis scenario modeling. This is to enable easy input changes and help enhance cross-collaboration between the organization by using this user-friendly interface, which is going to allow anyone within this space to make their decisions and solve their complex business problems with just a single click of a button.